Here's today's In Touch devotion.
Today's abridged scripture reading begins in verse 31 of Luke chapter 22. Jesus is speaking. Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded to sift you men like wheat. But I have prayed for you that your faith will not fail, and you, when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. But he said to him, Lord, I am ready to go with you both to prison and to death. But he said, I tell you, Peter, the rooster will not crow today until you have denied 3 times that you know me. And Jesus came out and went, as was his habit, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples also followed him. Now when he arrived at the place, he said to them, Pray that you do not come into temptation. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, and he knelt down and began to pray, saying, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done. Now an angel from heaven appeared to him, strengthening him. And being in agony, he was praying very fervently, and his sweat became like drops of blood, falling down upon the ground. When he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples, and found them sleeping from sorrow. And he said to them, Why are you sleeping? Get up, and pray that you do not come into temptation. While he was still speaking, behold, a crowd came, and the one called Judas, one of the 12, was leading the way for them. And he approached Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said to him, Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss? When those who were around him saw what was going to happen, they said, Lord, shall we strike with the sword? And one of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus responded and said, Stop, no more of this. And he touched his ear and healed him. And Jesus said to the chief priests and officers of the temple and elders who had come against him, Have you come out with swords and clubs, as you would against a man inciting a revolt? While I was with you daily in the temple, you did not lay hands on me, but this hour and the power of darkness are yours. Now they arrested him and led him away and brought him to the house of the high priest. But Peter was following at a distance. After they kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter was sitting among them. And a slave woman, seeing him as he sat in the firelight and staring at him, said, This man was with him as well. But he denied it, saying, I do not know him, woman. And a little later, another person saw him and said, You are one of them too. But Peter said, Man, I am not. And after about an hour had passed, some other man began to insist, saying, Certainly, this man also was with him, for he too is a Galilean. But Peter said, Man, I do not know what you are talking about. And immediately, while he was still speaking, a rooster crowed. And then the Lord turned and looked at Peter, and Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had told him, Before a rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times.
In today's scripture passage, Jesus tells Peter that Satan has demanded permission to sift the disciples like wheat. It seems strange to think that the enemy would have conversations with God about people on earth, but this is a reality. Even Job was discussed. Have you ever wondered if Satan discusses you? We may think we aren't significant enough, but our true potential makes those of us who are believers important in the spiritual realm. We often expect the adversary to tempt us in our weak points, but he attacks us where we're strong too. In fact, we let down our guard because we have confidence in our strengths, and that's when the evil one moves in. Consider Peter. He was quick to boast of his loyalty to Jesus, and yet he failed in this very area when he denied knowing Jesus. The enemy targets believers who understand God's truth, because they're his biggest threat. Jesus compared the disciples to wheat because it was sifted through vigorous shaking that separated the chaff from the kernel. He knows Satan wants to shake our faith loose from its foundation, so we'll go our own way, away from God. Thankfully, the Lord can use this sifting process to purify our faith, positioning us to receive His grace instead.